March 1969. A private wrestling gym in Los Angeles. Walls covered in medals. The U.S. Olympic team's training center. This morning, Tom Richardson is training. 240 pounds of pure muscle. 1968 Mexico City Olympics champion. 89 official matches, 87 victories. Nobody can take him down. Nobody can escape his grip. The door opens. A small Asian man walks in. Tom asks his friend, "Who's that?" Friend. Bruce Lee, martial arts instructor. Tom isn't interested. Kung Fu, that might work in movies, but it's useless in real fighting. Bruce hears this, approaches. Want to test it? Tom laughs. Do you know ground fighting? Bruce. No. Tom. Then I'll take you down in 5 seconds. Bruce. Try. The next 15 seconds will make Tom question his entire career. Los Angeles, March 1969. Tuesday morning, 9:30 a.m. The Gladiator Wrestling Academy on Venice Boulevard, Olympic-level training facility, concrete floors, thick wrestling mats, walls covered with medals and championship banners. This is where champions train. Tom Richardson is in the center, 28 years old, 6 feet 2 inches, 240 pounds, Olympic gold medalist, 18 years of wrestling, high school state champion, Iowa college star, then the 1968 Olympics, gold medal. Now he's training the next generation while staying sharp himself. He's drilling takedowns with Mike, his training partner. Double legs, single legs, sprawls, escapes, perfect technique. 8 other people in the gym, all serious wrestlers. This isn't casual, this is elite. The door opens. A man walks in. Asian, late 20s, 5'7", maybe 140 pounds. Black pants, gray t-shirt, moves smoothly, confident. Tom finishes his drill, grabs water. His assistant coach Danny walks over. That's Bruce Lee, called yesterday, teaches martial arts, wanted to see our training. Tom looks at Bruce. Martial arts? Like Kung Fu? Danny nods. Yeah, has a school in Oakland. Tom shakes his head. Not dismissive, just uninterested. He's seen martial arts before. High kicks, board-breaking movie stuff. Wrestling is real. 2 men, no weapons, just technique and will. Olympic sport for thousands of years. These Kung Fu guys look flashy but can't fight on the ground. Nobody can without wrestling training. Tom says, let him watch. Maybe he'll learn something. Bruce sits on the bench, watches quietly, observing movements, technique, timing. How wrestlers change levels, shoot, defend, control. After 20 minutes, Bruce stands up, walks toward the mat. Danny intercepts. Everything okay? Bruce says, can I ask Tom a question? Danny calls Tom over. Tom walks up. Size difference is obvious. Tom towers over Bruce. Yeah, what's up? Tom says. Bruce says politely, your technique is very impressive, very efficient. Tom nods. Thanks. Fundamental wrestling. Been doing it my whole life. Bruce says, I'm curious. In your system, ground control is most important, correct? Tom says, absolutely. Take someone down, control them on the ground, you win. Simple. That's why wrestling works. Proven for thousands of years. Bruce nods. What about someone who doesn't let you take them down? Tom smiles confidently. Everyone goes down eventually. If you're a good wrestler, you will take them down. Just a matter of time. Bruce says, even against someone who doesn't use wrestling? Tom says, especially then. Look, no offense, but martial arts guys are good at distance. But when a wrestler closes in, it's over. They don't know ground fighting. I've seen it dozens of times, Bruce says calmly. I understand. But fighting isn't just about what you know. It's about what your opponent doesn't expect. Tom laughs. Philosophy is great for teaching, but in real fighting, physics matters, mass matters. I outweigh you by 100 pounds. I've wrestled since age 10. If we fought, I'd take you down in 5 seconds, not disrespecting you, just physics. Bruce looks at Tom, no emotion. Want to test it? The gym goes quiet. Everyone heard. Did that small guy just challenge the Olympic champion? Tom looks surprised. Test it? You want to wrestle? Bruce says, not wrestle. Test your statement. You said you'd take me down in 5 seconds. I'm saying you won't take me down in 15 seconds. Tom's smile fades. You know I'm an Olympic gold medalist, right? Bruce nods. I know. That's why this is a good test. If your technique works, 15 seconds is more than enough. Danny steps in. We don't want anyone hurt. Bruce says, nobody gets hurt, just a demonstration. Tom tries to take me down for 15 seconds. If he succeeds, his point is proven. If not, maybe there's something to learn. Tom looks at Bruce. This is weird, but he's curious. Tom says, okay, 15 seconds. I go for takedowns, you stay standing. No striking, though. Bruce says, no striking. Agreed. They walk to center mat, everyone watching now. Danny says, I'll time it. 15 seconds. Tom goes for takedowns. Bruce stays up, no strikes. Ready? Tom nods, gets into wrestling stance. Bruce stands naturally, relaxed. Danny says, 3, 2, 1, go! Tom explodes forward. Double leg attempt, fast, low, powerful. Bruce moves sideways 6 inches. Tom's hands close on air. He resets immediately. 2 seconds. Tom shoots again, single leg, gets his hands on Bruce's ankle. Bruce doesn't pull away, steps forward with his other leg, shifts weight, touches Tom's shoulder lightly. Tom's grip loosens. Bruce pulls free. 4 seconds. Tom shoots again, fakes high, drops for legs. Bruce reads it, pivots. Tom catches nothing, reaches for Bruce's waist from his knees. Bruce lowers center of gravity, presses down on Tom's arms. Tom can't lock. Bruce steps back. 7 seconds. Tom stands, breathing harder. 4 shots. Nothing worked. Bruce is fast, moves differently than anyone he's faced. Tom commits everything. Full power double leg, lifting Bruce completely. Bruce drops his weight lower, spreads legs wider, places hands on Tom's upper back. Tom's momentum carries him forward, off balance. He stumbles, catches himself, turns around. 11 seconds. Tom breathing heavy, sweating. Bruce still calm, still breathing normally. Tom tries one more time, grabs Bruce's ankle with both hands, tries to twist. Bruce doesn't fight the twist, goes with it, pivots on other foot, maintains balance, steps over Tom's arms. Tom is holding an ankle that's moving away from him. 14 seconds. Tom lets go, stands up. Danny calls time. 15 seconds. Stop. Silence. Tom Richardson, Olympic champion, couldn't take down a 140-pound martial artist. Multiple attempts, nothing worked. Tom breathing hard. Bruce looks the same as when he started. Tom says, "How did you do that?" Bruce says, "You assumed I would resist your force. I didn't. You assumed I'd be where you expected. I wasn't. You assumed ground fighting was the only real fighting. It isn't." Tom shakes his head. "But I had you, multiple times. I had grips." Bruce says, "You had grips on positions where I wasn't putting my weight. You were grabbing where I was, not where I was going. Wrestling is powerful, but it relies on your opponent playing by wrestling rules. I didn't wrestle. I just moved." Tom sits on the mat, processing. In 18 years, he's never experienced this. He's faced fast opponents, strong opponents, technical opponents, but never someone who just didn't engage with wrestling itself. Tom looks up. "Can you teach me?" Bruce smiles slightly. "I can teach you concepts. Stand up." Tom stands. Bruce says, "Try to take me down again. This time I'll show you what happens when someone combines your force with theirs." Tom shoots for a double leg. Bruce moves toward Tom instead of away. As Tom reaches for legs, Bruce drops his weight, touches Tom's head with his left hand, guides it down and to the side. Tom's head goes where Bruce directs. His momentum, combined with Bruce's slight guide, sends Tom past his target onto the mat. Not hard, just redirected. Bruce says, "Again." Tom shoots, single leg. Bruce steps forward with the targeted leg touching Tom's shoulder. The step means Tom is reaching for a leg that's moved through the space. Tom's hands close on air. His momentum is uncontrolled because resistance he expected didn't come. Bruce's hand adds slight pressure in the direction Tom was already going. Tom stumbles. Tom stands. This doesn't make sense. I'm using textbook technique. Bruce says, your technique is perfect for wrestling, but wrestling assumes both people are trying to wrestle. What happens when one person uses your wrestling against you? Tom is silent. Bruce continues. You've trained 18 years to be powerful in wrestling. That's admirable. But wrestling has rules, boundaries, expectations. Real fighting has none. When you shoot for my legs, you expect me to sprawl like a wrestler or freeze like an untrained person. I do neither. I move with your energy, not against it. That's not wrestling. That's not kung fu. That's principle. Tom says, so my wrestling is useless? Bruce shakes his head. No, your wrestling is incredibly useful, but incomplete. You've mastered one way of fighting. But what about before you get to the ground? You assume you'll always get the takedown. What if you can't? Tom says, eventually you always get the takedown. Bruce says, in wrestling competition, yes, because both are wrestlers. But in real fighting, if someone can stay on their feet and strike while you're shooting, you lose. If someone uses your momentum against you, you lose. Wrestling gives tremendous power in one area, but it makes you predictable in others. Tom stands, not offended, curious. Can you teach me to fill those gaps? Bruce says, I can teach you to see them, but you must question everything you know about fighting. Tom says, what do you mean? Bruce says, you believe ground controls everything, but what if the best ground fight is one that never happens? What if staying on your feet is more important than taking someone down? Tom says, that goes against everything I've learned. Bruce nods. Exactly. That's why you couldn't take me down. You think fighting happens on the ground. I think fighting happens in transitions. Neither of us won, neither lost. That's the lesson. Tom is quiet. Then, if I trained with you, what would that look like? Bruce says, keep your wrestling. It's powerful. But learn to see beyond it. Use wrestling as one tool among many. Learn to fight without rules, without expectations, without boundaries. Tom asks, would I lose my wrestling skills? Bruce says, no, you'd expand them. Right now you're a master of one thing. You could become competent in everything. Master of wrestling, but aware of striking, distance, timing, psychology. Wrestling would still be your foundation, but the house you build on it would be bigger. Tom looks at Bruce. Okay, teach me. Bruce smiles. Good. But first, why do you want to learn? Tom says, because you just showed me that everything I thought I knew has limits, and I don't like limits. Bruce nods. Good answer. Most people get defensive when challenged. You got curious. That's the difference between good fighters and great ones. Great ones never stop learning. Over the next 6 months, Tom trains with Bruce twice a week. Bruce teaches Tom about distance management, timing, economy of motion. Most importantly, Bruce teaches Tom to let go of assumptions. Don't assume your opponent will react like a wrestler. Don't assume the fight goes to the ground. Be ready for anything. 6 months later, Tom enters a submission grappling tournament. New format with submissions allowed. First match against a BJJ practitioner. The guy expects Tom to shoot immediately. Instead, Tom stays standing, uses footwork Bruce taught him. The BJJ guy shoots. Tom defends by moving laterally. They're both standing. Tom waits, reads his opponent, times his shot perfectly. Takes him down, controls position, wins. Second match against a judoka. Tom doesn't give grips, keeps posture like Bruce taught, shoots single leg. Judoka tries to counter. Tom transitions mid-shot, takes him down, wins. Final match against an MMA fighter who knows wrestling. Both cautious. MMA fighter throws punches. Tom uses footwork to stay safe. Fighter shoots. Tom defends. They clinch. Tom uses superior wrestling to take him down. On the ground, fighter tries submissions. Tom shuts them down, advances position, locks arm triangle. Fighter taps. Tom wins the tournament. After the tournament, Tom meets Bruce at a coffee shop. Tom wears his gold medal but isn't celebrating. He's thinking. Tom says, I won. Bruce says, I heard. Congratulations. Tom says, but I didn't win because of wrestling. Bruce asks, "What did you win because of?" Tom says, "Adaptation. I used wrestling when it was the right tool, but didn't force it when it wasn't. I stayed aware of the whole fight, not just the ground. That's what you taught me." Bruce nods. "That's Jeet Kune Do, not a style, a concept. Use what works, discard what doesn't, add what is uniquely your own. You didn't abandon wrestling. You put it in context. That's growth." Tom says, 6 months ago I thought I had it figured out. Olympic champion. I thought that meant I knew fighting. But I only knew wrestling. You showed me I was a master of one small part. That hurt my ego. But it opened my mind." Bruce says, "The moment you think you know everything is when you stop growing. The fact that you let me challenge you, that you didn't get defensive, that you wanted to learn, that's what made you capable of growth. Most people can't do that. Their ego won't allow it." Tom says, "What about you? Doesn't your style have limits too?" Bruce smiles. "Of course. Every approach has limits. That's why I don't have a style. I have principles, and principles are limitless. Water has no shape but fits any container. Fighting should be the same. Your wrestling is like ice, powerful, solid, but rigid. I taught you to make it more like water. Still wrestling, but fluid, adaptable, aware." Tom is quiet. "Thank you. You changed my career, maybe my life." Bruce says, "I didn't change anything. You did. I just asked questions. You found the answers. That's the only teaching that matters." 10 years later, 1979, Tom Richardson is one of the top MMA coaches in California, teaching fighters to blend wrestling with striking, submissions with takedowns. He's famous for producing well-rounded fighters who adapt to any situation. He's teaching a young wrestler, 19, strong, cocky. Thinks wrestling is all he needs. Tom smiles. He sees himself 10 years ago. Wrestling's a great foundation. Master it. But never think it's enough. The moment you think you've learned everything is when you stop being a fighter and become a technician. Technicians are predictable. Fighters are not. The kid asks, "Who taught you that?" Tom says, "A man named Bruce Lee, 5 feet 7 inches, 140 pounds. He showed me that size, strength, and medals don't matter if you're predictable. He beat me without touching me, changed my life in 15 seconds. The kid looks confused. How can someone beat you without touching you? Tom smiles. He made me question everything. Once you start questioning, you start learning. Once you start learning, you never stop growing. That's how he beat me. Not with technique, with truth. Today, Tom Richardson is 84 years old, retired but still teaching occasionally, still talking about Bruce Lee, still telling anyone who will listen about the 15 seconds that changed everything. He says, "I won an Olympic gold medal. That was the proudest moment of my athletic career. But the most important moment was losing to someone who wouldn't let me fight. Bruce Lee taught me that the best fight is one where your opponent can't use their strength, not because you stop them, but because you never let them start. That's mastery. I've spent 50 years trying to reach it. I'm still trying. You never arrive. You just keep going. Who have you become predictable to? What part of your life are you so confident in that you've stopped questioning it? 15 seconds is all it takes to show you that what you thought was mastery is just the beginning." Tom learned that. 6 months of training changed his entire approach. 50 years later, he's still applying those lessons. Bruce Lee didn't defeat an Olympic champion that day. He freed one, freed him from thinking he'd already arrived. That's the real victory. Not winning the fight, but opening the mind. Who needs to open yours?